Hey, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We're going to be right back with today's guest, but as always, we're going to give a shout out to our sponsors. Now, you've heard me say before, these are all companies I used as an athletic director. They're all great companies. I really recommend that you check them out. So take 3 minutes, listen to our sponsor shout outs, then listen to our interview, and then go and visit these sponsors. I'm telling you, you're going to be glad you did. We want to thank our good friends at Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to their website and schedule a live web demo to see their products in action. Probably one of the best purchases I ever made was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. Go to sidelineinteractive.com for more information. We also want to say thank you to Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but as an athletic director, I made sure our school was a Huddle school. And our coaches just loved the tools that Huddle provided. Our student athletes and our parents also loved the apps, but there's a whole lot more. Go to huddle.com, join the 8 million users, turn your school into a Huddle school. We also want to thank Snap Raise. Have you ever spent weeks and weeks with a fundraiser and been disappointed in the results? Well, those days are gone. Go to snapraise.com. We used it at our school with great success, and so will you. I'm telling you, it works. Go to snapraise.com. Check out their other great platforms. But if you're looking for a fundraiser, you just found it, and it's Snap Raise. We also want to say thank you to Vital Signs Wall of Fame. If you're looking for a really cool way to display your school record board or your school's Hall of Fame, go to their website and take a look at their interactive touchscreen video consoles. You put one of their units in your gym lobby or your main school hallway, it's going to be like a magnet for kids, for coaches. How about sponsors? Go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. Check out their great products today. We also want to say thanks to our friends at Home Campus. Home Campus is the official high school sports administration platform for a number of states, thousands of ADs, and even if your state uses a different platform, you can be a home campus school. I'm telling you, their athletic eligibility and clearance platform alone is a game changer. Go to homecampus.com and don't forget to mention the podcast. We'd also like to thank Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. My assistant athletic director, along with thousands of others, got his master's through the Ohio program, and while they earned their degree, they also completed 11 NIAAA leadership training courses at no extra charge. Check out Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. We want to thank our friends at Hometown. Hometown is changing the game for schools and organizations with their suite of solutions that includes things like digital ticketing. They're still the number one platform. But how about fee-free fundraising, athletic website construction? Go to hometown.com. They're going to help you, whether you're a principal or an athletic director, save time, raise more money, and bring your community together. That's hometown.com. We also want to say thanks to our friends at Gipper. Go to Gipper.com and let their team turn you into a social media marketing guru. Whether it's a simple social media post to celebrate a victory or an entire newsletter to showcase all the great things that your department is doing, the team at Gipper is going to have you up and running in no time. Go to Gipper.com. It's technology that makes great marketing easy, no matter your job title. That's Gipper.com. And we'd like to thank Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. If you're not using a survey to take the pulse of your coaches, your student athletes, even your parents, you're really missing out. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to connect you, not just with the parents you already hear from, but the 98% that supports your program. And having that type of positive data is incredibly valuable, especially when you're visiting with that frustrated parent, or maybe your principal, or even your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to help you take your athletic program from good to great. That's Athletic Surveys, and don't forget to mention the podcast. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Educational AD Podcast. Of course, we're staying in Florida, and our guest today is Lauren Bradley. Lauren is a certified athletic administrator, and she's the director of athletics at Lake Buena Vista High School. It's just down the road, Orlando area. Lauren, welcome to the Educational AD Podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here today.
Oh, well, we're glad you could join us. For listeners, we're recording this on August 5th. In Florida, we have already started, fall sports. A lot of schools are going to be back in session with students next week. But Lauren, we always like to let our listeners have a chance to get to know our guests. So give us your quick bio, where you were born, where you grew up. We'll go ahead and take this up through maybe your own college days, and then we'll take a break. But what's the Lauren Bradley origin story?
Yeah, so I am born and raised in Orlando, Florida. I attended Lake Mary High School and I had a great basketball career there. I was fortunate enough to have some great coaches and really enjoyed my athletic experience. I played golf as well. And I was fortunate enough to get a full athletic scholarship to Florida State University to play basketball there for 4 years as well. And athletics has always been a huge part of my life and has had a tremendous impact on me throughout my years growing up here in the Central Florida area.
Oh, wow. I mean, you probably run into people that say, I'm from Florida, and then you find out, well, they're really not from Florida. I've been in Florida since 2000, but you're born and raised. That is great. Um, I want to go all the way back to, even before middle school, growing up, what was that like? Were there neighbors? Was there driveway in the hoop? Were there backyard, football games? What was that like for you growing up in Florida?
Yeah, so when I first got introduced to sports, I played softball at a very young age. So that was the first sport that I was introduced to. And of course, I was outside constantly playing anything I could get my hands on. Um, Believe it or not, I have an identical twin sister
Oh, I
who
didn't know
um, did not enjoy sports as much as I did, but you could find me in my driveway, like you said, playing basketball with all the neighborhood kids. I started to grow quickly, and that's when I started to play basketball at a young age. In middle school was the first time I was introduced to the sport, and I just took to it really quickly. I grew to be 6'3" very fast. I was very tall in middle school, which was difficult at times because I towered over everybody. But that's when I kind of fell in love with sports in general. And it's just been a part of my life ever since.
Now, we've had we had over 700 guests, and over half of those have been, women like yourself, women coaches, women ADs, and several that have been, tall at an early age have mentioned that there was that coach or a teacher maybe in sixth grade or seventh grade that saw them and said, "Hey, I'm taking you down to the basketball coach," and it was kind of a big moment for them. Is that ring true for you? Did you have a moment like that?
Most definitely. I was a shy kid, so in middle school, it took a couple friends that I'd made to introduce me to sports. But there's a middle school coach in particular that I still keep in contact with, Coach Robinson. She was one of the middle school basketball coaches, and she happened to be an assistant at the high school as well. So it was a easy transition from middle school to high school with really a bunch of us that played. And I really think that contributed to the success that we had at the high school level. I mean, we lost 5 games in 4 years in high school altogether. So a lot of those girls that I played with in middle school were teammates in high school. So it created a great connection there.
Now you mentioned you did softball as a kid and you did golf. And obviously I'm a lot older than you. Were you also involved? Was there travel ball? Was there AAU? Was that a thing for you growing up?
Yeah, I did participate in AA basketball. I was a homebody. I did not like to travel as a kid, so I often jumped onto teams randomly that were playing in the area. I wouldn't say I was on a very specific travel ball team for long periods of time, like some athletes are, but I played in as many tournaments as I could locally on various teams in the community.
No, very cool. Let's go and talk about that high school career. Five, only, five losses in your career. What are some, just really, big memories you have of that time of your life?
Oh, wow. Well, I mean, definitely my junior year, we went undefeated and won the state championship down in Lakeland. So that was an amazing year because the year before we fell short and we got to redeem ourselves and compete against Boone High School the following year. And that's when they had Vanessa Hayden, previously Vanessa Randall. So they had a very solid team coached by Misty Cox for years. So to be able to win a state title and go undefeated was pretty awesome. We got to compete against some college athletes like Donette Snow, Michelle Snow. She went and played at Tennessee under Pat Summitt. So we had some pretty fun wins along the way.
Okay, again, just incredible memories. You went to Florida State, played for 4 years. What are some things you can share with our listeners about that time of your life?
Yeah, college basketball was a great experience. The coaching staff at Florida State did a tremendous job recruiting. It was a difficult decision to choose Florida State, but I wanted to stay in the state of Florida to where my parents could come see my games. My dad lived in North Carolina, so being part of the ACC was important to me. So my dad could get to those games up at Duke, North Carolina, Wake Forest, NC State. So that played a big role in my decision there. And it was phenomenal. We got to travel the world. We went overseas during the summer of my sophomore year, and that was a great experience I had never had before. Probably the best experience that I had and the most memorable game was when we beat Duke when they were number two in the nation at home. That was phenomenal.
Oh, wow. If you had to pick out, one, one moment, obviously, beating Duke, that's a big thing, but one moment from, say, your high school or college career that now as a teacher, as a coach, as an AD, you can look back on that moment and say, hey, that was a very important point in my life. Anything stick out besides the memories you've already shared?
I think the memories that stand out the most to me in high school and college are just the camaraderie that we shared, the bus trips, the plane rides. I mean, just spending that quality time together has really taught me that building relationships is key to being a successful educator, a successful teacher, a successful coach. So I think there's no particular moment that stands out other than those shared experiences together.
Oh, no, absolutely. Those relationships, they're the best. Now, for you, when you'd finished your collegiate eligibility, was basketball still a possibility? Were there, leagues or opportunities that you considered?
Yes, there were a few opportunities overseas, but one thing I learned toward the end of my career is I had quite a few injuries that plagued me throughout my 4 years, and it sidelined me a few times, and that's where coaching became of interest to me. I really fell in love with the teaching, the instruction, the strategy. And so immediately after college, I had an opportunity to coach at the collegiate level and went straight into Chipola College, where I spent a year coaching before moving on to UCF to coach for a few years as well.
Wow. Definitely want to take a dive into that in our next segment. Let's go and take a quick break. For our listeners, our guest today is Lauren Bradley. She is the athletic director at Lake Buena Vista High School right here in Florida. We're coming back with more, so please stay with us. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We'd like to say thank you to our good friends at Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to their website and you can schedule a live web demo to see all their great products in action. You heard me say before, probably one of the best purchases I ever made as an athletic director was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. Go to sidelineinteractive.com, schedule that live web demo today. We also want to thank our friends at Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but when I became an athletic director, I made sure that our school was a Huddle school. And our coaches, all of our coaches, just loved the tools that Huddle provided. Our student athletes loved the videos, and our parents loved the streaming, but there's a whole lot more. Go to huddle.com, join the 8 million users, and turn your school into a Huddle school. That's huddle.com.
As a high school athletic director, we have used Huddle for the past several years, and it has been an amazing resource for our coaches and our athletes.
Well, I really appreciate you saying that. I remember when we made that decision to become a huddle school at my high school. I knew how great it was, but I was concerned if our other coaches would like it. And I used to love just walking through the gym and seeing our volleyball coaches or our basketball coaches, programming the cameras with their cell phone because they wanted to video practice. So you're absolutely right. It is really cool. Thanks for sharing that. Hey, we're back with Lauren Bradley. Lauren's a certified athletic administrator. She's the director of athletics at Lake Buena Vista High School right here in Florida. Lauren, when we left off, you had just started your journey. If you can, share with our listeners some of the stops that have led you to your current position at Lake Buena Vista High School.
Absolutely. So, as I said, I went straight from college into coaching. I spent a year at Chipola Junior College, and that was a great experience for me. I was the recruiting coordinator, strength and conditioning coach. I did a lot of things at that college, and we won a state championship. And it was the first one in school history under head coach David Lane. So I spent just 1 year there, but it really taught me a lot about coaching. And I was fortunate enough to get a Division I coaching job at the University of Central Florida, which obviously is in my hometown. So it was great to be back home. And I spent 2 years there in various roles under head coach Gail Strigler. And from there, I decided to take a step back from that area, and believe it or not, decided to interview with the FBI and Secret Service. So I'll jump from in professions, but that was my college degree was in criminology. And I thought I should explore that profession briefly. Unfortunately, it didn't pan out the way I wanted it to due to some college injuries kind of hindering
Mm.
that opportunity. And so I got into the high school world and started coaching basketball at Olympia High School. And that's where I spent most of my career is at Olympia. I was there 14 years in various roles there, coaching, teaching, and that's where I started my athletic director career is at Olympia. And I recently moved to Lake Buena Vista High School. I had the opportunity to open a brand new school. Thought that would be a good experience, and I'm now heading into my 5th year here at Lake Buena Vista.
Okay. Um, we're going to talk all things Lake Buena Vista in our next segment. I want to go back to the whole FBI thing. That's just so intriguing. I mean, what are some of those memories about that whole process?
Yeah, it was definitely a whirlwind experience. I had come in contact with an FSU alum who was a U.S. Air Marshal. I had met her at an event at Florida State University and kept in touch with her. So when I decided to move from college coaching, I reached out, and she was able to streamline the process for me rather quickly. And so it was quite the experience. I had to undergo a thorough investigation. I had to collect my medical documents from my high school and college career, which was pretty detailed for the previous 10 years. And I had an interview process. I had to take a treasury enforcement exam. It was pretty thorough, but at the end of the day, my medical history got in my way.
Mhm. Yeah, again, that I can just imagine some of those basketball injuries, cropping up. Okay, well, we need you to do this as an agent, but it's still what a great experience. All right, you've been a coach, you had success as a coach, and then you made that decision to, I just say, go to the other side of the desk. Some people call it go to the dark side, and become an athletic director. What were some things that you found out? The old phrase, you don't know what you don't know. What were some things you found out about the AD job that you didn't know from being a coach?
Yeah, I think for the most part, just all of the administrative tasks that are associated with the job, and honestly all the people that you need to have good connections with to make sure you're successful in your job, from the head custodian to the irrigation guy downtown. I mean, there's so many moving parts with the job, and a lot of it's out of your control, to be honest. You have to rely on other people around you to help you in your profession. So I think that's the largest thing. I think the relationships have to be positive. You have to be highly organized and efficient in the work that you do. Um, those I think are the biggest takeaways for me.
You know, Olympia High School, I mean, yeah, my daughter and her husband and our granddaughter live in that neighborhood, drive by it frequently. I mean, just I think kind of a classic, suburban, school setting. What are some lessons that you learned there that you have taken with you to your current position at Lake Buena Vista?
I think what stands out for me is identity. I think Olympia, we were still trying to find our identity, 20 years in. And, based, like you said, on location, I think that was challenging, establishing that identity of who we are and establishing that culture. And I think I've brought that here to us. And obviously being a new school 5 years in, one thing I'm going to talk with my coaches about at our meeting this week is culture. Like, who are we? Who are we going to be? And it's difficult in a county with 23 high schools, trying to figure out who we are. And so I think that's kind of been my focus, is trying to establish that, not only with athletics, but as a school as a whole. And and it's challenging. It's challenging. I've been, trying to figure out how we can get that done. And it's been hard.
Well, since you opened that door, I'm going to, run right through it. Looking back, what were some things that you did at Olympia to, help build your culture? Like you said, you're part of, Orange County Public Schools, but you're still Olympia High School. What were some things that you did with your kids, your coaches, the faculty to build the culture that you know, wanted to see?
Yeah, I think we had a lot of conversations about how to first establish that. One thing we did that we've done here as well is focus on branding. That became a big part of our culture, making sure that we had established policies and procedures related to our branding. At one point, we completely established a new school color to kind of differentiate ourselves. Um, we wanted a new kind of fresh look when I stepped in, and we had a new principal at the time. So we were like, you know what, we're going to rebrand. And so we did that, and that was great. Everyone was on board, and we just set those expectations early and started that process. And I've really tried to do that here as well, from the get-go, is that's one of our big focuses.
Yeah, again, when you talk about when you hear people talk about best practices, having that consistent brand, or if you're doing a rebrand, everybody has to be all in. Um, I speak to a lot of I experienced this as an AD myself at a couple different schools, and I talk to at a lot of schools to athletic departments on this very topic. And there's always at least one, there's that old diehard coach, could be basketball, could be soccer, whatever it is, could be football. Imagine that, that they want to go rogue. They want to have their own little logo and their own little tweak on the blue or the red or whatever their color is. I'm going to guess you might have had one of those coaches at your school. What were some of the ways that you worked with that coach to help them get on board?
Yeah, we definitely had to come to a couple compromises with a few of our sports, but we just sat down and talked about it and discuss ways where that coach could utilize some of their ideas into some of their team gear or products that they wanted to establish for their program, because of course every team kind of wants their own identity, so you're not only dealing with your school identity and your athletic identity, you're dealing with your specific sport. So you got to let them feel like they've got a little bit of freedom within their program, but also ensure that they're following the brand of the school itself and Orange County.
No, no, and that's a tremendous point. Absolutely, you don't want them to feel stifled. But I would have to have a conversation every now and then with a coach and remind them, hey, it's in your case, it's Lake Buena Vista High School. It's not Lake Buena Vista tennis. Okay,
Yeah.
or it's the high school. You're part of our team. But yeah, those tough conversations that ADs have to have sometimes. This is great. Let's go and take another quick break. When we come back, I'm going to ask Lauren to take us on a deep dive on her current school, Lake Buena Vista. All that's coming and more. So please stay with us. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We also want to say thank you to our good friends at Snap Raise. Have you ever spent weeks and weeks with a fundraiser and been disappointed in the results? Well, those days are gone. Go to snapraise.com. We used it at our school with tremendous success. Our coaches loved it. Our parents loved it. I'm telling you, it works. Go to snapraise.com. You can check out all of their other great platforms. But if you're looking for a fundraiser, you just found it, and it's Snap Raise. We also want to say thank you to Vital Signs Wall of Fame. If you're looking for a really cool way to display your school record boards for all the teams, for all the different events, or show off your school's Hall of Fame, go to Vital Signs Wall of Fame and take a look at their interactive touch screen. That's right, touch screen video consoles. You put one of their units in your gym lobby or your main school hallway. It's going to be like a magnet for kids, for coaches. How about sponsors? You got to see it to believe it. Go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. We also want to thank our good friends at Home Campus. Home Campus is the official high school sports administration platform for several states, thousands of ADs, and even if your state uses a different platform, you can be a home campus school. I'm telling you, the athletic clearance and eligibility platform alone is a game changer. Go to homecampus.com and don't forget to mention the podcast. That's homecampus.com.
Home campus has been a great resource for us to keep our athletic program organized. I can't say enough positive things about it. And Vital Signs Hall of Fame board is something that I've inquired about and look forward to getting more information, because it seems like it would be a great option in our gym or our front office.
Well, again, as a Florida high school, obviously, you use home campus, and you're absolutely right. The platform is just wonderful. And when you do get around to calling Vital Signs, ask for Gretchen and tell her that Jake from the podcast sent you. Okay. Um, let's get back to your interview. For our guests, or for our listeners, our guest today is Lauren Bradley. She's the director of athletics at Lake Buena Vista High School. Matter of fact, she helped open it. Lauren, talk about that, coming over to a brand new high school. You talked about building culture. How about building traditions and all of that? What are some of your memories about starting the program at Lake Buena Vista?
Well, first of all, opening a new school is a challenge. Specifically, COVID was in progress, and that was very difficult because a lot of the items that we had ordered and were planning on receiving were delayed quite a bit in that process. So we already had struggles from the get-go, kind of establishing ourselves. But the first thing that I did was order uniforms. We wanted that branding to take place immediately. So the first thing I did to make sure we got these items on time were I sat down with our vendor and we ordered uniforms for every team and made sure that those branded items fell in line with our branding guide that we had established early on. So that kind of set the tone for establishing our culture, getting our colors out there, getting our mascot out there, creating those items was a fun experience, kind of coming up with those from scratch.
Now, that was going to be my next question. Who was involved with making those decisions? Mascot, school colors, that sort of thing. Hopefully, you were involved, but was it coaches? Was it board members? Who was on that meeting?
Yeah, so ultimately our principal that was established at the time had a lot of say in those decisions. I did play a role, although I hadn't been officially hired quite yet. I started in on the process a little bit later, but we had a team of about 5 people that were part of the process. And it's kind of a cool story. The colors that we have established is kind of paying respect to the 2 schools that we were relieving. So Dr. Phillips High School and Freedom High School where we got our initial student population from. So we took the Columbia blue color from Dr. Phillips and we took the red from Freedom High School. And so that's kind of how we established our colors. And then we added black as the accent. And honestly, with the mascot, it's difficult because in the state of Florida, you have so many schools, so many mascots established. We I don't really know where the Viper came from, but I love it. It's great.
Well, I'm trying to dig deep into my brain here. I'm not aware of that many other high school Vipers in Florida. Are there any other Viper mascots?
There is, believe it or not, Space Coast. And actually, at
Oh,
one
that's right.
point in the last few years, we played them. So it was kind of a fun Vipers versus Vipers game.
Oh yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I've been at Space Coast a number of times. I should have known that. Um, those first couple of years, I'm going to guess you probably didn't have seniors. But how was that from a scheduling standpoint? Obviously, you have your state mandated district games that you got to play, but you're also, as an AD, as a coach, you're looking for some wins. How was that putting the chessboard together?
It was challenging. It was challenging trying to secure a schedule that would give our kids an opportunity to win some games. That first year we did not have a senior class. So we had young kids and honestly here at Lake Buena Vista, we had kids that had never played sports before in their
Right.
life.
Hmm.
So we had our work cut out for us early on. I think we did a good job competing, and obviously teams in the area they knew our situation. They knew we were a new school, so they were very kind and willing to work with us and our programs to ensure that we had a year that gave these kids some confidence.
Um, Looking back on those early years, pick out, at least one, but hopefully a couple of those moments, beating a rival or the team, that maybe struggled the first year or two and then got that first win. What are some moments that stick out for you?
Yeah, they're still happening. I mean, our girls softball team this past season had their first winning record in school history. So we celebrated that success. Boys basketball had their first district win this past year in a district tournament, so that was fun for us. And we've had some surprises. Our tennis program has been really dominant since we opened. We've had our first state championships, which have been amazing. And we've really had fun celebrating those kids. And our football team, they had their first winning record 2 seasons ago. And so, anytime we can celebrate success, we try to, because these kids have truly earned it and they've really fought to get to where they're at. And our coaches too. It's been frustrating for them at times, and they've persevered over the last couple of years and shown progress. So I know we're very proud of where we started and where we are right now. But we've got a long way to go to get to where we want to be as a program.
No, and I think that's a great way to look at it. Let's be happy with the success that we've had, but we're not satisfied. We're still growing. We're still getting better. Talking about coaches, how was that hiring that foundational inaugural coaching staff? Because as you shared, it's not a typical situation. You're going to be building a program. So what were some things that you were looking for as you were hiring that initial coaching staff?
So I was initially, of course, looking for the most experienced coaches possible to really lead our program because I knew it would be a challenge. We had a lot of interest. I think there's always a lot of interest in a brand new school. But what I learned along the way is I ended up hiring a lot of younger coaches. The way I like to describe it is we kind of grew up together. I've had to mentor and educate a lot of these young coaches because everybody needs an opportunity. And although a new school is challenging with a lot of young kids, um, I gave a lot of these young coaches a chance, and or coaches that have been coaches for a while, maybe at the JV or freshman level, but wanted that varsity head coaching experience. And so it's been a learning opportunity for all of us along the way, but it's been nice to see those inexperienced coaches kind of grow up here at Lake Buena Vista.
We're going to do this at the end of the podcast, but if one of our listeners wanted to reach out and pick your brain a little bit more about how you did things at Olympia and then starting a brand new school at Lake Buena Vista, or if they just want to add you to their network, what's the best way that they can connect with Lauren Bradley?
They can find me on LinkedIn, or coaches can email me directly at lauren.bradley@ocps.net. Those are the two best ways to get in contact with me.
Okay. And as we've mentioned, Lauren's also a certified athletic administrator. You can find her contact information through the NIAAA member portal. We're going to take another break. I know that's shocking to our regular listeners, but we're coming back with more with Lauren Bradley. So please stay with us. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We want to say thanks to Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. Now, I didn't get my master's through the Ohio program, but my assistant AD did, along with thousands of others, and it was a great experience. And while they were earning their degree,
One at a
also
time.
completed 11
I appreciate
NIAAA
all.
leadership training courses at no
Let's
extra charge.
go, Piper.
That's Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. Check them out. We want to say thanks to our good friends at Hometown. Hometown's still changing the game for schools and organizations with their solutions that include things like, well, they're still the number one digital ticketing provider for schools and colleges. But how about athletic website construction, fee-free fundraising, and a whole lot more? Whether you're an AD or a principal, Hometown is going to show you how to save time, raise more money, and bring your entire community together. That's hometown.com. We also want to say thanks to our good friends at Gipper. Go to Gipper.com and let their team turn you into a social media marketing guru. Whether it's a simple social media post to celebrate a victory or an entire newsletter to showcase all the great things that your athletic department's doing, the team at Gipper will have you up and running in no time. It's professional graphic design made easy. Go to Gipper.com for more information. And as always, don't forget to mention the podcast.
I absolutely love Hometown Ticketing. We have used their ticketing platform for the last several years. And the one thing I can say about them is their customer service is top notch. Whenever you need them, they will reach out to you within minutes. And Gipper, I have used Gipper since we opened Lake Buena Vista High School in 2021. And it has completely elevated our social media and it has aligned with our branding to make athletics very visible for our community and cannot recommend them enough.
But again, Lauren, thanks for sharing that. Our listeners, they hear me say this every single week about my sponsors because I used them and I love them just like you do. And you said it. I'm going to repeat it. I think you might be our first Florida hometown user because our state association has another platform that they partner with. But thanks so much for sharing and thanks for saying those nice things. Okay. Um, let's go ahead and jump back into our visit. This is our optional segment, and I already told you during the break that you were going to come up with the topic for this particular section. So, what are we going to talk about, Lauren?
Yeah, one thing I've been reflecting on this summer, one thing I like to do is just, think about the year before, how we can be better, how I can be better as a leader. So, one thing that stands out to me is just leadership and development. And, when I talk to my coaches, I always encourage them to be the best version of themselves and to continue to learn and grow because that's the only way that they can be better, that we can be better. And one person that stands out to me that I learn a lot from, and I see this online, is one of my old college coaches. She's actually the head coach at UCLA, and she does these things called car rides with Corey. And so when she's driving to work, she is sharing some things that she wants to share with her athletes, and they're always amazing. Every time I watch them, I learn something. So, I think growth is completely vital for us as coaches, as athletic directors, as educators. And so I'm always constantly trying to read things, to listen to things, podcasts like this, to get ideas that I can implement with my coaches to make them better because I do have a young group that constantly need mentoring. So, I think by making myself better, going to these conferences that are offered every year, reading books, I love reading autobiographies to learn from leaders in our community, head coaches, professional coaches. I think these are things that are really critical to my success and to the success of our athletes if we can continue to grow.
Well, again, professional development, whether it's for ADs or coaches, I think it's one of the things that coaches, excuse me, that ADs like to do. They like to provide those professional development opportunities, but sometimes, in the busy day that we have as athletic directors, we don't often get a chance to do it. What's something that you've been able to do recently? Maybe it was something the county sponsored, maybe it was something else, but what was something that you did recently for your coaches that you felt really paid off, really got the message through that you were hoping they would get?
Yeah, one thing I like to do is I call it Coach's Corner, where we kind of get together and I'll provide a snack, drinks, and we can just discuss, things that are working well for us, things that we need to improve upon. One thing I came up with this summer that I'm going to share with them at our meeting is what I'm going to call the 4 C's. And these are things that I thought about this summer that we need to really focus on because there's so many things that we can look at and try to target, but one of the things is connection. Our student population, we have a high Hispanic population. A lot of our kids do not speak English, so I want us to really focus on how can we connect with our kids and their parents because of the language barrier and ways that we can do that. Another one is culture, which we've discussed already, and how we can really dig our feet in year 5 and establish ourselves and explain, who we are as Lake Buena Vista, who are we as an athletic program, what do we want to be known for. Another one is compete. One thing our kids struggle with is competition, really having that killer instinct when it comes to getting out there and fighting and putting the work in. And uh, what's the last one? Now I'm struggling to remember it. Culture, connection. I don't know. I'll come back to that. But
I'm throwing out communication.
No, that fell in with connection, culture, competition, and I think community.
Community, of course.
So community and really building those relationships with our neighbors and the people within our bubble.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, great ideas, particularly with your population group as you shared. And you mentioned parents. I'm gonna dive a little deeper here. What's something that you've done as an AD with your parent group? Now the last few years with the NIAAA, it's partnering with parents. What are some things that you've done that you think have built better connections, communication, community with your parents?
Yeah, so we've had multiple athletic information nights with translation to try to get our parents out to our school, to our campus, to get information to them. I think that's the biggest struggle that we faced is how many ways can we communicate, whether it's through a Zoom meeting, whether it's through a community night, whether it's through our parent square, talking points, all these platforms that we have. We try to get information to them. Obviously I'm on social media. That's the main way that I communicate, through Instagram, through Facebook, and through X. But, we've got to figure out ways to get to our parents and make sure that we are getting them information as regularly as possible.
Yeah, boy, it's so critical, that, and again, the old school way 100 years ago was, parents, you just stay in your lane. We've got this handled. And now, it's so much more effective and for both ADs and parents to bring them on board, not giving into them, not, I like to say we're not giving them the keys to the car, but they're along for the ride. So let's try to make it a pleasant ride, particularly for their kids. So very cool stuff. Lauren, this has been great getting to know you, spending a little bit of time with you, but we're not done yet. We always wrap up with the athletic director's toolbox. So we're going to take our final break here from Athletic Surveys. When we come back, I'm going to challenge you to send out a brand new athletic director on their first job, but I'm only going to let you put 3 items in the toolbox. So let's take that break, and then we're going to find out what Lauren Bradley puts in her new athletic director toolbox. We want to say thanks to Athletic Surveys for sponsoring the AD Toolbox segment. In my school, we use surveys for everything, for kids, for coaches, especially for parents. And here's the cool thing. The information that would come back on our surveys, almost always over the top positive. We still got to hear from those squeaky wheel parents, but the survey allowed us to hear their concern, usually address it and keep it from turning into something big. But having all of that positive feedback, a lot of times 98%, was incredibly valuable, especially when you're visiting with that frustrated parent, or maybe your principal, or even your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that lets you take the pulse of everybody in your program. That's athleticsurveys.com. Well, it's that time of the podcast. We've been visiting today with Lauren Bradley. Tremendous background in athletic administration. She's a CAA. She's the athletic director at Lake Buena Vista High School right here in Florida. But right now, I'm going to challenge her to send out a brand new AD on their very first job. So, Lauren, what 3 tools are going to go into your new athletic director toolbox?
I would say the first tool and most important for me is to realize early on this is a job you cannot do by yourself. So to collaborate with others around you, rely on other athletic directors for tips and advice, and then the people on your campus. So collaboration, I would say, would be one of the tools. The second tool I would say is to be organized. And the way that I stay organized is I actually have a to-do list for every sport for every season. So every year I can reference that list to make sure that all those little tasks are getting done so you're ready for that first game of the year. And finally, I would say talk to your coaches. Make sure you keep those relationships active all season long because it's easy to get caught up in everything else that's going on. But the most important thing is that your coaches feel supported, they feel cared for, and they feel listened to. So those would be the three main areas of focus in my toolbox.
Well, you probably saw me scribbling them down. The common thread there, the networking, the collaboration, talking with coaches, keeping that relationship going. It's just so critical. And you said it. You can't do it alone. You can't be on an island. Surround yourself with a great team, and then keep that team close. Very cool stuff. One more time, if one of our listeners wants to collaborate with you and add you to their network, what's the best way our listeners can connect with Lauren Bradley?
You can find me on LinkedIn, or you can reach out via email at lauren.bradley@ocps.net, or you can find me on our athletic website, Lake Buena Vista H.S. Athletics.com, or on Instagram at Lake Buena Vista High School Athletics.
Well, Lauren, thanks again for taking time out of your busy schedule to share with our listeners. All the best for a great fall and for a great school year. And we're definitely going to have to get you back on the podcast down the road.
All right, Jake. Thank you so much again for having me.
Oh, you bet. We also want to say thanks to our listeners and remind you that we upload the Zoom recordings of all of our interviews to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We do this just about every day. We try to share stories from the world of athletics, along with some best practices. So please come back and join us again on the next episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We'll see you next time.